Hey guys, RG with Six Logistics. I want to talk about the load that is here behind me. We're going to discuss tarping today. Scott has a load of super sacks on, and there's a few things that I want to point out. And again, I'll kind of get my head out of the picture so we can see things a little bit more easily. All right, it's probably good enough for now, and I'll adjust a little bit more if needed. So let's start with our tarps are 27 feet long. Not quite sure how long this load is, but obviously he's using one tarp. And if you kind of look here in the very front, you can see that he's got a strap on the front of this tarp, so which essentially suggests that the tarp is longer than the load itself, and he's got some excess that he's using there in the front and securing with a tarp, or excuse me, securing with a strap. But So let's start in the very front of the load, which is over here. And you can see one thing that Scott is doing is that he is pulling the front of his tarp towards the front of his trailer, which is this way. And again, it's that one strap right there, or excuse me, the one bungee right there that is kind of independent by itself pulling forward. Now, if you go to the very back of the load, you can also see that he's got a bungee doing the exact same thing. So that bungee is pulling the back of his tarp towards the back of his trailer. So essentially what Scott is doing in this tarp job here is that he's pulling the front of the tarp to the front and he's pulling the back of the tarp to the back, stretching out the tarp. So that way, again, you don't kind of have that accordion effect that you sometimes see. And again, the reason he is doing that is so that, again, there's going to be times, right, when your load is 25 or 26 feet long and you need the full 27 feet of the tarp, right? So again, you just want to stretch it to make sure you're utilizing all of it as much as possible. Now, what he's also done, again, where you see again that first bungee in the back bungee, right, is that's at the back and the front of the loads. And again, those are both pulling from that point going out. Now, then what he's done from there, he's done that sort of a V pattern, right, in between each D-ring. So the D-rings are in this level here. And he's going from D-ring, going down to the rub rail, and then going back up to the next D-ring. Actually, what he's doing is he's actually skipping one D-ring and going to the next one over. Now, the bungees that we utilize are generally 31 inches long. You get an extra 10 inches essentially, so 41 or 42 inches. So you got to be a little bit careful about how much you're stretching because you don't want to get them super, super tight. But you want them to be tight enough where, again, it's going to hold the tarp tautly as you're going down the highway. Now, what Scott did in doing this tarp job, right, is he secured the front and back corners of the driver's side of his tarp, and then he went over to the passenger side and did the same thing. Did the front corner, did the back corner. Then again, at that point, it doesn't really matter whether you bungee the passenger side first or you bungee the driver's side first, but you do want to secure, your four corners first. And that way, as you're bungeeing the driver's side, for instance, that way you're not pulling the entire passenger side towards you, or vice versa, right? You don't want to just do one side and then you go over to the other side and your tarp is incredibly uneven because you've just pulled the entire tarp to one side or the other. So again, you knock down the four corners first, again, pulling the front of the tarp towards the front, the back of the tarp towards the back, and then you do this V pattern. Now, the other reason we do that V pattern, right? Because if you're looking at the load, what's not going to happen as he's going down the highway, it's not going to bubble away from him, right? And you see that on often on many guys that bungee their tarps, is that's not following this V pattern, right? Their tarps are, that bubbling effect as you're going 65, 70 miles an hour down the road. And then not only is it dangerous to the driver, but it's also dangerous to other people around them because you can possibly not see what's going on. And it can also possibly give the DOT a reason to stop us and look, if your tarp isn't secured properly or isn't secured well. So again, that V pattern is critical to ensuring, that his bungees are put on there well. Again, the tarp is going to get away, and you can see how tight or taut the tarp is on there. And again, also doing that V pattern, right? So not only is he stretching, this way, so again, towards the front, but then he's also stretching back way towards the back. And again, it just keeps the tarp nice and tight. And again, so when you have a lot of excess, and again, as you can kind of see here in the photo, you can see where the strap, I'm trying to do it with my hand. You can see where the strap is holding, again, what appears to be some excess, holds it down, again, ensures that, again, the tarp isn't going to be flapping on you or getting away from you. So yeah, it's a great tarp job. Super simple, guys. I mean, tarping can be, guys complain about it a lot, but it's actually one of the quicker, easier, simpler things to actually do out there on the road. We use the ultra lightweights. They weigh about 45, 50 pounds, where a standard one is roughly 100. And that's, again, dry in, wet or snowy conditions. Obviously, that can weigh significantly more. But again, we like those ultra light ones. They just, they've been holding up really, really well. And as long as you do again, another part of actually getting your tarp on there really tightly is that you don't have that bubbling, which also then doesn't mean it's flapping out there in the wind and possibly ripping. So again, guys, little things that you can do, very simple. But again, the most basic part is, right, pull the front of the load or front of the tarp towards the front of the trailer, pull the back of the tarp towards the back of the trailer, go do that on the other side, and then do your V pattern afterwards, and you'll get a nice looking tarp like this. So, all right, guys, be good, be smart, and you'll be safe. The 6 Logistics Difference. Bye-bye.